Last year I had a couple of big storms roll through my area. This got me thinking about what I would do in a power outage. I'm in luck to live in an area that has underground power lines, so outages are pretty uncommon, but it would be nice to have some backup power if an extended outage did happen. These big power banks like the EcoFlow Delta 3 have become increasingly popular. I think these power stations are actually a pretty good deal for what they include, especially if you catch them on a good sale. If you were to have to buy an inverter, a battery, all the charging equipment, I think you'd actually end up spending more money than the 500 or so that these things cost. But I am cheap and I already have some of the parts needed to build one of these things sitting in my garage. That being said, on Black Friday of 2024, I scoured through Amazon trying to find the cheapest 12 volt 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery they had to offer. I ended up with this, the Hummy Ian K Humdinger. I don't know how you pronounce it. What I do know is I paid $119.99 for it. It's only about $25 more than a similar Walmart Everstart Marine battery, and that's comparing it to a lead acid battery. In theory, this life battery should last a lot longer and have more usable capacity than the equivalent lead acid battery. The Amazon listing claims that this battery is good for 15,000 cycles and has all the BMS protections you would expect. The cycle life they claim is a bit outlandish, but I did look up some reviews, and there are some older ones of this battery that I found on YouTube, and most of the BMS protections seem to work according to those reviews. The only one that may be a bit questionable is low temp charging protection. This may have been fixed in a newer version of the battery, and I may test this in the future if I ever get a cold day and put the battery outside or something like that. But for now, it's something to watch for. If you do pick up one of these, maybe don't charge the battery if it's below freezing. The first thing I did to this battery was run a capacity test on it. I wanted to make sure that the thing wasn't a complete ripoff before I started building anything using it. Since this is around Christmas time, I thought it'd be fun to power up my decorations. I used a data logging multimeter and a very crude current shunt in order to test the capacity. The results are not lab quality, but they'll be in the ballpark. The power draw was 180 to 200 watts during the test, and it ended up running for a little bit under 8 hours. Accounting for some inaccuracies in my setup, I ended up with a conservative capacity estimate of 111.6 amp hours and 1435 watt hours. When I charged the battery back up after this test, the charger claimed to put in 114 amp hours back into the battery. This is a great result considering the battery is only rated for 100 amp hours and 1280 watt hours. Putting the power station together was relatively straightforward. I used a NOCO battery box that I had laying around as the case. I also bought this fuse block on Amazon and mounted that straight to the battery terminals. The fuse block is used to power two XT60 connectors and a pair of 12 volt sockets. I fused the 12 volt outlets at 15 amps and the XT60s at 30 amps. Unfortunately, I could only find mini automotive fuses locally. They work, but it's not ideal. This fuse block is meant for the normal sized automotive fuse, and I will probably pick up some properly sized ones at some point for this. I bolted both of the 12 volt outlets in place, and I glued the XT60 connectors into the holes I cut for them with a Dremel. After that, I crimped some connectors onto the wires and ran those up to the terminal blocks. I also had the inverter I used for the project laying around. It's a Xantrex ProWatt SW600. It's a pure sine wave inverter with a continuous rating of 540 watts and a 5-minute rating of 600 watts. It's a bit undersized for the battery, considering the battery is rated for a discharge current of 100 amps. A 100 amp discharge on a 12 volt battery is good for about a 1000 watt inverter. I'll discuss the ratings of the inverter and sort of the pros and cons of that a little bit later, but anyway, I mounted the inverter with machine screws and nuts to the top of the battery box. The end result certainly looks like a DIY project, but it is functional. After getting it built, I started playing around with it to see what it would run. I powered up my TV and all my networking equipment on Super Bowl Sunday. It ran all that for 5 hours, and I measured a usable capacity at the AC outlet of the inverter at 1260 watt hours. That's not bad at all, considering that that's also including the losses in the inverter. There is one big advantage to running a smaller inverter, and that is the standby consumption of the inverter. This one only pulls about 600 milliamps with no load on it. That means that if you left the inverter turned on, it would stay running on this battery for about a week with no load. The commercially available power stations usually only run for a couple of days in that sort of configuration. You might be wondering why you would ever want it to be powered on with no load on it. It's a good thing to have if you're going to run low power draw items like a Wi-Fi router where you're only pulling a couple of watts. You don't want the losses in your inverter being higher than the load that you're actually running. It's also good for things that cycle on and off, like for example a refrigerator. Though that brings me to the disadvantage of running a smaller inverter, and that's starting capacity. This inverter has a rated surge power of 1200 watts, and it seems to actually get pretty close to that in the tests that I've done. Unfortunately, this is not enough to start every fridge in existence. I will say it starts most of the newer fridges and freezers I've tested it on, but this 20-year-old fridge in my apartment will not start without some, let's say, unconventional methods. Obviously, the 540 watt continuous rating is also a limiting factor for what appliances you can run. You're not going to be able to run a microwave or hot plate or something like a table saw. Personally, I don't have any large power tools I'm going to try to run on this thing. Running a hot plate on a battery like this isn't great either because you won't be able to power it for very long anyway. For me, this inverter is going to work fine for most of the loads that I'm going to try to put on it, but it would be nice to have a little bit of a bigger one to be able to start up a fridge easier. One more advantage of this power station versus some of the commercially available stuff that you can buy is the 12 volt output current. Most of the power stations that you can buy will only provide around 10 amps at 12 volts. This one has a total output of 75 amps at 12 volts through the ports that are installed on it. This is useful if you're like me and you want to run things like radios or RC car chargers. A lot of the commercially available ones just won't give you enough 12 volt current to get this done. Also, the standby power of the 12 volt section is 0 because the battery just naturally outputs 12 volts. It's not having to run some kind of a buck converter in order to keep that 12 volt socket alive. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this unit turned out. I'm impressed how well this cheap battery has been performing. I did have a short 3-hour power outage during the night back in March. I used this power station to run a fan during those 3 hours. If I do more testing on this power station in the future, or I use it in a longer term power outage, I'll make an update video. But for now, that's it. See you in the next one. Bye.